Jazzcast Pros.
Do you identify as a bad sleeper? What if the problem isn't you, it's your sleep space? I'm talking about more than just contoured pillows and a comfy mattress, because your sleep depends on cues. So your bedroom should send signals to your body to support the deep sleep it craves, not leave you confused and on alert. The reality is there are many factors that can impact your sleep both day and night, whether it be stress, timing, lights, habits, your hormones, yet the most overlooked one is the environment you sleep in. It may not be set up to support the way your body sleeps, because sleep is sensory. Right before you drift off, your brain runs a safety evaluation using your 5 senses: temperature, touch, light, sound, and scent. And each one sends a signal to ask whether you're safe or whether you should stay alert. And even if one is in a state of discomfort, your nervous system taps the brakes and your sleep stalls out. That's not failure on your part. It's your body in survival mode. So this episode is going to kick off a 5-part sensory series to help you reclaim control by aligning your bedroom with your sleep biology, because you deserve a space designed for the way your body sleeps so that deep sleep becomes your default. You spend your entire day absorbing the world through your senses, yet at night, you want to pretend that they suddenly stop mattering, as if closing your eyes should be enough. But the brain doesn't work like that. It asks, am I comfortable enough? Am I calm enough? Am I safe enough? And if the answer is no, sleep does not show up. And I want to begin with the most influential sense in the sleep equation, which is temperature. Because if your core body temperature cannot drop, deep sleep does not happen. Thermal wellness is foundational. So tonight, you're finally going to understand how to get it right. Welcome to the Dose Podcast. I'm your host, Soda Kuczkowski. I'm a sleep health educator, a certified sleep coach, and the founder of Start With Sleep in the Dose, companies that I created to provide a cultural shift in the way you view and prioritize your sleep so that you can show up at your best. I have 20 years of experience in sleep medicine, sleep health, and coaching. And here's what that time has taught me. Sleep does not improve because you try harder. It improves because you understand what supports it. Over the next 5 episodes, we're going to be exploring how your 5 senses shape your sleep. Starting today with temperature, the way your body regulates heat to unlock deep rest. Next week, we're going to be talking about touch, the quiet language of pressure and comfort that signals safety. For the third, we're going to explore smell and how scent can calm your nervous system before your head even hits the pillow. And then we're going to uncover sight and the powerful role light plays in protecting or disrupting your circadian rhythm. And we're going to wrap it up with sound, the subtle frequencies that can either soothe you into sleep or keep your brain on alert. Because together, these senses create the blueprint for your nightly rest. Because your sleep experience is a sensory symphony. Every part of your bedroom contributes to that performance. So today, we're going to be turning the temperature up on the topic that most people oversimplify, which is thermal wellness. Sleep is a temperature-regulated process. Your success does not hinge on just simply tweaking your thermostat. Your entire sleep space actually plays a role. So if you're tired of waking up either sweaty or shivering or both, I want you to stay tuned in because relief is coming. I want to start with the basics, which is what your body actually needs to sleep. Your sleep depends on cooling down, literally. To fall asleep and stay asleep, your core body temperature must drop a degree or 2. This cool down triggers melatonin release. It supports deep sleep. It helps your brain clear out waste, as well as regulates your hormones and lowers your heart rate. But here's the thing to know. Your body is constantly trying to cool, but your environment will be constantly fighting back. And if cooling fails, your heart rate rises trying to keep up. Nightmares might creep in and restless legs will not let you stay still. You'll make more trips to the bathroom. Your REM sleep shortens, so your recovery time slips away. And then come the night sweats, the tossing, the covers kicked off and pulled back on. And by morning, you're already exhausted. And those racing thoughts that flood your brain at 3 a.m., well, that's cortisol, the stress hormone that spikes when your body cannot feel calm. Heat overload is one of the top causes of poor sleep. Not anxiety, not screens, not a weak bedtime routine, heat. So you're not necessarily a bad sleeper. You're likely just sleeping in a space that may be thermally confused. And here's why your environment matters more than you realize. Because we are heat engines. We are constantly generating heat. And sleep success depends on heat exchange. So heat must leave the core, travel through the bloodstream, and escape through the skin. Your palms, soles, and face are major heat release portals, and if they're insulated, covered, compressed, or trapped, you're cooked. Now for the twist. Not everyone cools evenly. Hormonal shifts, stress, menopause, age, thyroid function, metabolic rate, and medications all modify how fast you heat, how well you shed heat, and how warmly you perceive your environment. Like I said, you generate heat constantly, so you must release heat constantly. Your thermostat does not know any of this. Only you do. So one room temperature will never fit all. Which brings me to my next point that I want to make sure that I really drive in. This is something that I speak of often in my presentations, and it's the fact that your room is a microclimate, meaning that every detail matters. You know, if temperature was as simple as turning the thermostat to 65 degrees, you would all be sleeping great by now. But the way sleep tips are thrown around, you may think it's as simple as walking over to it and turning it down and calling it a day. But again, it isn't that simple. Thermostat settings are barely step one. Your room is a whole microclimate with its own behavior. Your room behaves like its own little climate system, and some things hold heat while others trap it. So some examples, things like synthetic bedding that can trap body heat instead of releasing it. Your mattresses, especially memory foam, that can contour, but then it cooks you. Pillows that build up warmth around your neck and your head. If you have, thick carpetings or rugs, that store heats beneath the surface. Heavy curtains, that blocks airflow. If you have extra furniture or clutter in your room, that limits circulation and airflow, right? Your pajamas, what you wear, can be warming and not necessarily breathable. Sun-exposed rooms that have large windows, that can heat up during the day. And if you have high ceilings, heat rises but slowly drops down overnight. And then depending on the level that you live on, right? If you're on a top floor, because heat rises, it's basic physics, which means the higher you live, the warmer your bedroom tends to stay. And then, of course, last is pets. While they're adorable, when they're snuggled up against us, they keep us warm, which can lead to overheating. Every item in your environment is either helping your body cool down or it's working against it. Every object in your room is either attracting heat or helping heat to escape. So you have to identify which is doing what. Now, you may be thinking, well, Soda, what about showers? Everyone says they help. Well, I want to clear that up. I'm sure that you've heard the tip, but is it helpful or is it harmful? While yes, technically warm or hot showers can help you sleep, there's something that's often left out. It only works if the heat exit strategy is solid, meaning if the heat has somewhere to go afterwards. Warm water brings heat to the surface of your skin. Then as you step into the cooler air, your body rapidly releases that heat. The drop in temperature helps to signal sleepiness. However, if you live in a humid space, if you struggle with temperature dysregulation, hello perimenopause, or immediately put on heavy heat-trapping pajamas, that benefit backfires. One size does not fit all in sleep. It never did. It helps those who generally have good circulation. They live in climates with lower humidity and wear breathable post-shower clothing. But it fails those, again, who get dressed in those heat-trapping fabrics immediately after, have hormonal heat dysregulation, if you keep your bathroom steamy, or if you have menopausal heat swings, or if you live where humidity slows evaporation. This is why personalization matters. Another thing to consider is the inside factor. When it comes to cooling, it's not just about what's going on the outside. It's about what's going on in the inside as well, meaning hydration. Because fluid matters. Water cools from the inside out. And if you're dehydrated, it thickens your blood. Your heart has to work harder, your brain runs hotter, and your nighttime temperature regulation suffers. And I want to note that hydration timing also matters, because if you're chugging water right before bed, right, that's going to end up with a lot of those bathroom trips. So we want to front load fluids during the day and taper off in the evening. And Just a side note for this, because I talk a lot about this recently, is you want to use electrolytes, not just water intake, because a lot of times our waters don't contain a lot of the minerals that we need, things like potassium, sodium, and magnesium to help to support our system. But cooling the body is one thing, and cooling the brain is everything. Your brain does not sweat to cool itself down. It relies on blood flow cycling heat outward through your scalp and skin. And when your head overheats, that's where REM sleep suffers, your memory processing struggles, your dreams get chaotic. You might suffer morning headaches, or migraines might appear, or anxiety might wake you. So when it comes to things like cooling pillows, they're not just a gimmick. It's a neuroprotective tool. So that being said, I want you to think about temperature as it relates to you individually and with a new lens, because every sleeper has 3 unique heat profiles. First is your thermal identity. Are you a hot sleeper? Are you a cold sleeper? Are you a temperature flip-flopper? Or are you an environmental reactor? The second is your home's heat behavior, the insulation quality, the HVAC responsiveness, your floor level. And the third is your bedroom's microclimate, hot zones, cool corners, airflow patterns. Sleep improves when these 3 align. So the thermostat does not control all of this. Only awareness and adaptation do. So what works in one house for one season, for one hormonal phase, can fail in another, because thermal wellness is a dynamic sleep skill. You need to teach yourself to evaluate the heat in your room like a detective. Where's it coming from? Is there anything that's trapping it? What's helping it to escape? What changes season to season? And what changes week to week in your own biology? That's where people finally break through, not by trying harder, but by troubleshooting smarter. Before I leave you, I do have an action plan for you, and I will drop the checklist in the show notes. And these are all things that you can do to improve the temperature in your bedroom starting tonight. First, you're going to audit your bedroom and check for those heat traps. Next, you're going to look at your sheets. You're going to look at what you wear on your person, your sleepwear, and you want to look at using breathable fabrics. Next, if you do have some furry friends, right, I want you to make sure that they're sleeping in the lower end of your bed, or maybe even possibly putting them in the bed next to you, right, on their own bed in the floor. Decluttering around the bed to improve airflow. Think about swapping out your pillow or your pillowcase before, you change anything with your mattress, because that's going to be the closest to our head, right? Using fans to circulate air, not blast cold air directly in your face. And then I want you to test multiple thermostat settings, across the season. You can't rely on one static setting. I mean, for instance, when it starts to get colder, right, I'm going to have to crank it up. I usually will sleep with like 67 to 68 degrees, whereas in the summertime, we're going to be dropping the air down, a lot lower than that. And it's more around like that 61, 62 range. And then last, I want you to track heat triggers for 1 week so that you know where you need to adjust, right? Success comes from testing and adapting. So the power is in the awareness. And your environment should evolve to support your biology, not argue with it. Because sleep is a partnership between your biology and your environment. And when those two align, your sleep becomes easier, more predictable, and more restorative. So temperature is only the beginning. Over the next several episodes, we're going to be exploring touch, sound, light, and scent, and how each one can either elevate your sleep or sabotage it quietly. Sleep by the Senses continues next week with pressure and touch, and how tactile input changes your nervous system, anxiety levels, and sleep depth. And for additional tools to help you build a sleep space engineered for success, you can visit us at thedoze.co or startwithsleep.com. Until next week, sleep well.